Good evening. See a lot of you there saying hello to each other. Glad you're here. Ready? Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Candle went out. Fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. The fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with precepts, concentration, and insight. We offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. So let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. So we'll meditate. Breathe deeply, letting your belly be nice and relaxed, your lungs fill and empty completely, but naturally, smoothly. And then let your breath just settle, just breathing comfortably. And focusing on your breath at the tip of your nose or at your belly. And we'll use the breath to scan the body, so bring your attention into your feet. And just kind of feel the joints relax, almost as if the spaces between the bones just kind of open up. And bring your attention to that area. Bring your awareness of the breath to that area as if you were breathing through your feet. So you might get a sensation almost like you're breathing through your skin, or like the energy of the breath is flowing through your bones. And if there's any tightness, you can release that. Everything that you find, you can either let go of it or let it be. No need to push anything away or cling to anything. Let go, let be. And bring your attention up into your ankles and do the same thing. Rest your attention in that area. Breathe as if you're breathing through that area. Let go, let be. Up to your calves. Establish the attention. Bring the breath. Let go, let be. Accept, release. Into your knees. thighs, hips, and pelvis. Belly. The area around the diaphragm. And up higher to the center of your chest. And up to your shoulders. And down your arms into your hands. Back of your neck. Behind your face. Crown of your head. And then just back to wherever it's comfortable to feel your breath. And just rest for a couple of minutes, just being relaxed and calm until the bell rings. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now, and offering flowers, candles, and incense, hearing the Dharma and training the mind, great merit is attained. We dedicate these merits to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the 16 guardians and all protectors of the Dharma and their relations throughout space and time, to all ancestors of the Sangha and all beings in the Dharma world. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance. Let all karma be resolved and the mind flower bloom in eternal spring. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. May their vows be fully realized. May they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for those suffering from violence and those who grieve for them, for those living in oppression, for all who are imprisoned who should be free, for all refugees from violence, hunger, and catastrophe, man-made or natural. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, those working toward the healing of those afflictions. We pray for those suffering from COVID-19, those working to protect and treat them, and to those grieving for those lost to this pandemic. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Mahaprajna Paramita. Hi, everybody still with me? I see someone said, oh no, he's gone. Is the stream still going okay? Somebody type something, let me know I'm still with you. Shows there's still 14 people there. So I'm going to talk. Somebody say something. Okay, all right, good. Thank you, Jeff. So good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Are you talking about the camera I'm using? It's the same camera I've been using. And I'm glad you got the books, Karita. Yeah, I probably just got a little bit better light situation today. That's probably why I look clear. That's probably it. Yeah. Beth, hi, how are you? So I gave this Dharma talk on Sunday. And then I found out that something happened in the live stream, interrupted about halfway through services. And so nobody heard the Dharma talk, right? So I thought I would revisit it a little bit. I'm not going to give exactly the same talk. So if you were at White Sands Sunday and you heard this already, I'm sorry, I'm going to repeat myself. But it'll be a little different. So there's something that you almost never hear American Dharma teachers say, but you'll hear from Asian Buddhists, which is the statement, I believe in Buddha. So it's kind of unfashionable to a lot of American Buddhists. You know, we're convert Buddhists, which is kind of the way that they're referred to in Buddhist scholarship and so on, tend not to talk about faith very much in a Buddhist context and tend to be fairly humanistic. Now, I know you're not all, but so I'm kind of generalizing, but basically this is kind of an important topic. And it's something that a lot of people who come to Buddhism and then you go to services at some place like White Sands or even come to these services on Wednesday nights and stuff, and you're thinking that it's going to be meditation and there's not going to be anything that looks like religion. And then there's stuff that looks like religion. And so what do you do with that? So I've actually heard many self-professed Buddhists declare that Buddhism is not a religion. In fact, I got a thing from Tricycle Magazine that was asking the question, and I didn't read the whole article, but they send out these things. If you subscribe, they send out these links to web content and stuff like that. And it was exploring this question: is Buddhism a religion? And if it's not, then what is it? And so I've heard people say, well, it's more like a way of life, or it's a philosophy, etc. But Buddhism is my religion. And I'll be very straightforward about that. It was not always the case. I started practicing Buddhism a long time before I would say this is a faith tradition for me. But what does that mean? What is Buddha, right? And what does religion mean in this context? So Buddha, that sounds simple. There was a man named Siddhartha Gautama who was a prince of the Sakya clan. He lived about 500 years before the Common Era began, practiced and attained wisdom. Before he died, he passed along a path of practice to others, and that path is available to us because of what he taught. There's archaeological and historical evidence for this. You can actually visit the ruins of monasteries that were established during his life. But even if there was no historical Sakyamuni, in my opinion, that would not mean that there was no Buddha. Okay, because Buddha is different than the Buddha, right? Different than the historical human being that became the Buddha. It's a bigger concept than that. And so this is something when people transition from reading about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path to suddenly reading the Lotus Sutra or something like that, there's a transition in terms of what Buddhism is and what Buddha is when you make that leap. So when Buddhists assemble and practice together, we offer incense, we offer flowers and candles and water and things like that. And if you're not a Buddhist, if you're new to this, it might look like you're giving these things to a statue. But a statue is not Buddha. Buddha is the offering, not the stuff you give, but the act of offering. That is the Buddha. When we give, when we open our hearts with charity and generosity, that act of giving is the manifestation of Buddha in this world. So we also chant some words in various languages, including ancient Indian dialect Pali. So, I just said Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. By themselves, those words don't mean a whole lot. I bow to the Blessed One, to the Pure One, the rightly self-awakened one. So a lot of people have come to me and said, I'm interested in Buddhism, but I don't like this bowing crap. Why do I got to bow? Well, we in our culture, the culture was founded on this idea of sort of self-interest, which I think is probably not altogether healthy. I think some of the problems that we have in our culture are the result of that sort of materialistic self-interest. But that's a whole other Dharma talk. But we're individualists. We're taught to believe in the supremacy of the self. And here we are saying, I'm bowing to something that's actually higher than that, that's actually more important than me. What could possibly be more important than me? Well, pretty much everything, really, when you get right down to it. So what is this Buddha then that's somehow higher than my own ego? And a lot of people probably assume that we're bowing to Siddhartha and assume that blessed, pure, and awakened are descriptions of him. And in the original context, we're saying, yes, I'm bowing to this person who became completely purified, who became completely awakened, uh, rightly self-awakened. So didn't borrow this from somebody else, did all the stuff to awaken fully to Buddhahood. And blessed is a blessed person. So in Buddhism, we're blessed by our own goodness. So no deity blesses us. So normally, if you go to a church and ask for blessing, basically it's as if the priest or whomever has this relationship to God that we don't have. And so we go to this priest, and the priest says, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to be this conduit for the grace of God or whatever, and give this to you. Right? We don't do that in Buddhism. So, yes, I'm a Buddhist priest, but I'm not any closer to Buddha than you are. I'm maybe a little bit more plugged into the tradition, to the teaching tradition, right? But we all have this ability to attain Buddhahood because we all possess Buddha nature, right? So basically, I act in servitude to that. It's my job to try to help you discover what you already have. So I can't teach it to you because you already got it, right? So to bow is actually to realize that the ego that doesn't want to bow is the same ego that returns over and over again to stress and suffering. So the act of bowing softens the ego's grip and lets this little shaft of awareness into the heart, this little shaft of the light of wisdom and compassion into the heart. And so when I bow, that's when I realize Buddha. So look, I say Buddha. Your Buddha might look different than my Buddha. I know there are people who attend these, who watch these things, who still identify as Catholic or Jewish or whatever. And I don't know everyone because there's 50 or 60 people who look at these things on a regular basis. I don't know who you all are, but that's okay. Buddha comes in many different forms. So the important thing is to recognize the possibility of awakening. And when we bow, we're recognizing that. So I talk a lot to people who come to meetings and services and want to learn how to meditate and do other Buddhist practices. But, they say, well, I'm not sure if I'm a Buddhist. That's totally okay with us, right? You don't have to become a Buddhist to practice Buddhism. In fact, don't get in any hurry, right? Do good, avoid doing evil, purify your mind. And when you go, you know what, I'm a Buddhist, that's when you go for refuge. To me, I think that's when you should go for refuge. When you know that this is true refuge, then you can formalize that. So there's actually a long history of cooperation and collaboration between Buddhism and other religions. We got on a conversation, I think it might have been on a Thursday night, I can't remember exactly when, about like where some of these deities come from, the bodhisattvas and the Dharma protectors and things like that. Like, where does all this stuff come from? Because it's not really in the historical Buddha stuff. It's not in the Pali Canon. Some of them, but for the most part, these are possibly co-opted from other religions. The Jataka tales almost certainly were folk tales that just became useful to the understanding of Buddhism. But when Buddhism reached China, it became highly influenced by Taoism and Confucian social norms. And so today you find prominent teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, for example, who does Christian Buddhist interfaith retreats, or did, he doesn't anymore, and teachers from like the Insight Meditation Society who identify as culturally Jewish, and they do programs on Jewish Buddhism. So I said you don't have to declare yourself a Buddhist to practice Buddhism, but I think it is important to see this as part of a spiritual path. If you just meditate, that's fine. You'll get some benefit from that. There's a lot of people who teach meditation as a sort of, support thing, a mental health thing. And that's okay. And if you just think listening to Dharma talks is interesting and inspiring, that's okay. But when you make it a spiritual practice, then that gives it more importance to you. So this term spiritual is a tricky one. A lot of times there's in university, like studying college students and stuff like that, there's this whole new concept of the nones, N-O-N-E-S, the nones. Like 30% or more of college students these days are nuns, meaning they don't, when you give them a survey when they enroll, it says, what's your religious tradition? They don't have one. It doesn't mean that they're all atheists. What it means is no particular tradition. And some of them, I know this because I've talked to some of them, they might sort of kind of be Protestant, and they go to yoga classes and they consider that a spiritual thing, or they read a lot of books about spirituality from different traditions and stuff like that. And so they don't identify as one particular thing. They don't say, well, like, I can't check the Baptist box, I can't check the Jewish box, so therefore I check the none box. But when you say, okay, this practice that I'm doing is a part of how I find meaning and purpose in life, then that gives it more importance to you, and it connects you to something greater than just this lifetime. And that's when I say I'm a Buddhist, and when I talk about religion, to me, that's what makes the difference between a mental health activity and a spiritual activity. Does this have an effect beyond this lifetime? And for me, this does. So, I made this vow that I'm going to, free all sentient beings. And, and for me, that's a meaningful thing. I mean, my job with this life is to try to do stuff that will continue to save people, right, from suffering and sorrow after I'm gone. That's basically what that means. And I find spiritual resonance in things like the idea of, the eternality of the Buddha as it's found in the Lotus Sutra and things like that, that I can't say are factual. They can't be proven, but for me, they give a framework so that other stuff can layer upon. So Thursday night last week, we were talking about something kind of related to this. There was a discourse, the backstory, and the Dhammapada, I think, that a group of people had made special offerings to monks and arranged for them to come and give Dharma talks all night long. And so a lot of the people, everybody started out listening to these Dharma talks, and then there were people who started getting tired or bored or whatever and going home, and there were people that started falling asleep, and very few people sat all the way through this thing that they had asked for, which was for these monks to give Dharma talks all night and listen to all these discourses. And so after daybreak, the monks went back and told the Buddha what had happened. And he said, most people are attached to this world. Only a very few reach the other shore, meaning nirvana, liberation. He said, if you reach the other shore, all the others just run up and down it. Right. So the shore thing, this metaphor comes up a lot in the teachings. If you're on a shore that is unsafe, unstable, maybe it's on fire on this side of the river, and if you get across the river, then you get to safety. The practice is what gets you across the river. So if all you do is run up and down the unsafe, unstable shore and never build the raft to carry you across to safety, you're never going to get to safety. You're just going to stay on an unstable shore. And so that is, kind of what this practice is about ultimately. But the mechanism that gets you out of suffering from one life to the next is the same mechanism that gets you out of suffering in this life, right? So the right view and right intention and right actions and right speech and right livelihood and right effort and right mindfulness and right concentration. Yes, that's Buddhism in this grand sense. That will liberate you from having to keep coming back to this and dealing with this crap over and over again. But it will also help you be happier in this life. And there's several discourses where the Buddha talks about this. But while we were talking about this Thursday, this old song popped into my head, and by Joe Hill. So Joe Hill was a union organizer and folk singer, and this was in the 1910s. So it was before the Great Depression, but I guess it was after World War I. There was still a lot of difficulty, a lot of people being hungry and starving to death and so on. And so he wrote this song called Pie in the Sky, which was actually a criticism of some religious organizations that were kind of supporting themselves by going around and getting people to donate and go to religious services. And that's how they were coping with, being poor, was to get other people to support them. And so the lyrics of the song are like, you will eat pie in the sky by and by, work and pray, live on hay. Let's see, long-haired preachers come out every night, try to tell you what's wrong and what's right. But if you ask them for something to eat, they will answer in voices so sweet. You will eat by and by in that glorious land in the sky. Work and pray, live on hay. You'll eat pie in the sky when you die. So Buddhism is not like that. It's not a pie in the sky when you die kind of thing. You get pie in the sky when you die, but you also get it now, right? Because what nourishes you spiritually helps you transcend suffering in the next life, but it also helps you transcend suffering in this life. So anyway, that's most of what I wanted to talk about. So when the Buddha gave this talk, setting the wheel of Dharma in motion, about the truth of suffering and the truth of the end of suffering and all the other stuff in between, the causes of suffering that bring you back to birth is the same cause that brings you back to suffering tomorrow. And the path that ends the suffering that brings you back to birth is the same path that ends the suffering that brings you back to stress, that ends the suffering that you might experience tomorrow. So someone asked me Sunday when I gave this talk, says, Sensei Morris, you talk about practice. What do you mean? Well, you look at it and, well, that must mean bowing to Buddhas and lighting incense and sitting with your eyes closed and, staring at the inside of your eyelids and things like that. And that's useful. But the real practice boils down to do good, avoid doing evil, purify your mind. Now, how you do that, that's a lot more complicated. But, but that's basically the practice. So all of these books about Buddhism, all this stuff that I say 3 or 4 times a week really sums up in, here's how you do good. Here's how you avoid doing evil. Here's how you purify purify your mind, right? So, and you can do that without being a Buddhist, right? You can do that without being religious. But if you connect it to a higher purpose, to something that transcends this life, so it's not just a materialistic activity, then it's going to do a lot more good. And so that's basically what I talked about Sunday. So I thought I would sum that up for you again tonight. Any questions or anything? So the great clarity in the thumbnail image, Michelle did that. So I needed photos of me um, for. So there's this group of students at Stetson who are affiliated with the Hollis Center, which is where like the pool and the workout area, and they do a bunch of wellness programs and stuff. And they just launched a podcast. And they interviewed me for the podcast, and they wanted a picture of me, and all my pictures were old or not very good. So Sensei Michelle took a few photos of me, and one of those to give to them, and one of those I pulled to use as the new thumbnail image. So that explains that. So anything else? Everybody good? All right. Well, thank you very much. So just a reminder, next Monday, the Loving Heart Peaceful Mind workshop begins. We've got about 30 people. Yeah, ask me tomorrow. Be easier for me to answer tomorrow too. We got about 30 people coming that have told me that they're coming. And if you haven't told me you're coming yet, please do so that I can get you on the list. I'll be emailing everybody every week with stuff to work on and that kind of thing. So I'll need to have you on an email list. So thank you. And if you come tomorrow night on Zoom, I'll see you tomorrow night on Zoom. Sunday, by the way, will be a recorded talk. I'm going to be in Palatka giving a sermon in the parking lot of the UU congregation. So we'll see how that goes. All right, cool. See you then.